Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something really practical and honestly pretty crucial for any service business.
We are indeed. We're looking at customer feedback for an HVAC company, Hartzell's Heat and Air.
Right, and specifically how that feedback, the good, the bad, the specific words people use can directly shape their website content. We've got a summary document plus a whole load of actual customer reviews.
And our mission really is to unpack all of that. We want to find those key insights, the nuggets that can help build website pages, service descriptions, blog posts, you name it. Materials that actually resonate because they're built on real customer experiences.
It's like a shortcut, isn't it? Instead of guessing what matters to potential customers.
Exactly, because, let's be honest, trying to write marketing copy from scratch can feel a bit hollow sometimes.
Totally. You end up using the same old buzzwords.
But when you ground it in genuine customer feedback, what people actually say about their experience, well, that's powerful. It's the difference between just talking at people and actually connecting with them. Understanding that feedback is fundamental.
Okay, so let's dive in. Looking at the sources, what's the big picture? What's the overall vibe customers are getting from heart cells?
The summary document makes it pretty clear. The overall perception is extremely positive. Customers consistently use language that suggests they see the experience as exceptional, not just satisfactory.
Exceptional. Okay, what specifically makes it exceptional for them?
Well, several things pop up again and again. Exceptional responsiveness, like getting help fast. Professionalism is huge. Clarity in communication, which is always important with technical stuff.
Sure, you want to know what's going on.
Right, and then quick, effective repairs, obviously. But also, technicians really exceeding expectations in how they conduct themselves.
That exceeding expectations part, that's often where the loyalty comes from, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it ties into how people perceive the technicians themselves. The feedback paints a really consistent picture there, too.
How so?
They're described as, friendly, really knowledgeable, respectful of the home, of the customer's time, and just generally attentive, listening to the customer.
And the sources mention specific technicians getting shout-outs.
They did. Names like Jose, Tim, Dustin, Dave appear frequently in the positive reviews, often linked directly to those qualities. Professionalism, friendliness, skill. It shows the impact individual team members have.
So it's not just an anonymous company fixing your AC, it's these people. That personal connection matters.
It really seems to. This summarized perception, this overall positive view driven by competence and great staff, that's essentially their brand identity from the customer's viewpoint.
Okay, that's the high-level view. Let's get more specific. The source document drills down into common themes and even specific phrases. What are those core themes it identified from the reviews?
Yeah, it breaks it down neatly. Based on the review analysis, 7 main themes emerge.
7, okay.
First, professionalism and expertise. Then, responsiveness and timeliness. Third, clear communication and education, that clarity aspect we mentioned.
Right.
Fourth is excellent customer care and attentiveness. Fifth, the actual quality of work and reliability does the fix last.
Crucial.
Sixth, high satisfaction leading to repeat business, that loyalty factor. And finally, number 7 is pricing and value.
Okay, a pretty comprehensive list covering the whole experience. Now, beyond those themes, what about the actual language? Did the source highlight specific phrases customers kept using?
Yes, and this is where it gets really useful for website copy. These are the phrases that popped up repeatedly. Things like, fast to figure out the problem.
Ooh, I like that one. Direct.
Very direct. Also, explained everything. Very professional. Arrived earlier than expected, which ties into timeliness.
Nice.
Went above and beyond. There's that extra effort again. Highly recommend. Obviously a strong endorsement. And made sure it was right before leaving.
Wow. Fast to figure out the problem. Went above and beyond. Hearing those exact words, you can immediately see how using them on a website would grab someone looking for an HVAC company.
It's absolute gold. These aren't just marketing slogans someone dreamed up. They're authentic phrases from satisfied customers. Using their words builds instant credibility and shows potential customers, hey, we deliver what people like you are actually looking for.
It resonates because it's real. Okay, so we have the themes, we have the phrases. How do the sources suggest translating this into concrete website content? The document apparently maps this out, right? Linking themes to specific site elements.
Exactly. It provides a structured approach, taking each theme or bucket of feedback and suggesting specific content ideas for service pages, blog posts, FAQs, things like that. It's a practical roadmap.
Great. Let's walk through those buckets. First one, expertise in problem solving. What's the core customer feeling here, and what are the content suggestions?
The core feeling is trust. Customers trust that Hartzell's technicians know what they're doing. They're confident they can diagnose accurately and fix things efficiently.
Makes sense. And the example review cited for this.
It was, Jose was fast to figure out the problem, explained everything, and made sure I understood. We'll use them again. Short, sweet, hits multiple point speed, clarity, outcome, repeat business intent.
Perfect. And other reviews back this up. Things like solving problems others couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. There were comments about Dave figuring something out quickly where previous techs failed, Tim fixing units other companies basically wrote off, and just general comments about technicians being extremely knowledgeable, sometimes about very specific or complex systems.
So how does that translate to the website? What did the source suggest?
For the service page, the suggestion's pretty clear. Feature credentials, talk about technician certifications, ongoing training, and definitely highlight diagnostic accuracy, maybe even use a variation of that phrase, fast to figure out the problem. Emphasize efficient solutions.
And beyond the service page, any other content ideas?
Yes, a blog post was suggested, something like Top 5 Common HVAC Issues and How Hartzell's Experts Quickly Solve Them.
Ah, so you're leveraging that fast to figure out angle and applying it to common pain points. Smart.
Exactly. It shows expertise in a practical, relatable way.
Okay, bucket number 2. Professional and friendly technicians. We touched on this, the human element being key. What's the focus here for content?
The focus is that the person showing up at your door matters just as much as the technical fix. Customers value politeness, respectfulness, and just a generally positive interaction. It makes the whole experience less stressful.
And the example review.
It was quite telling. Very nice.
Yeah.
Respectful, made sure before he left it was right. One of the best air conditioning people that's been out before. That's high praise.
It really is. And you mentioned those names coming up, Jose, Tim, Dustin, Dave praised for being professional, friendly, all those positive traits.
Right. That consistency is a huge asset. So for the website, the sources strongly suggest leveraging this. On service pages, showcase the team. Technician bios, maybe photos if possible, make them feel like real people.
Less anonymous.
Exactly. And feature testimonials that specifically mention the interaction, the respectfulness, the friendliness. Don't just show testimonials about the fix, show them about the people.
And what about that meet your technician section idea?
Yeah, that was another suggestion. Put it somewhere prominent, maybe the home page, maybe a dedicated team page. It really humanizes the service, builds that trust before they even make the call.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, third bucket, responsive and timely service. This feels critical for HVAC. When it breaks, you need help now.
Absolutely. Urgency is paramount. And the feedback suggests Hartzell's really shines here. Customers consistently praise their speed and reliability when it comes to arrival times, especially in emergencies.
What was the standout review for this one?
The one that said, central heat quit working, tech was here working on it within 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's incredibly specific and reassuring for someone in that situation.
Definitely. And there were others echoing that. Arriving early, quick response on hot days.
Loads of them. Arrived earlier than expected. AC went out on an 85-degree day. They were out at my house within 3 hours. Got us fixed up more quickly than we expected. Technicians came quickly, arrived promptly. You see that pattern clearly.
Even the one review that mentioned arrival towards the end of the window still found it acceptable. That suggests good communication around timing, too.
It does. So the website application here is obvious. Highlight this speed. On service pages, clearly state average response times if possible, particularly for emergency calls. The source even floated the idea of a same-day service guarantee if feasible operationally.
That's a strong promise. And the blog post idea?
Something like HVAC emergency. Here's how quickly Hartzell's can help. It sets clear expectations, leverages that strength, and turns a potential customer panic into confidence.
Addressing the anxiety head on. Good stuff. All right, bucket 4. Transparent communication. Avoiding jargon. Being clear about options and costs.
Yep. Trust is built on clarity. Customers appreciate understanding the problem, the proposed solutions, and the potential costs without feeling pressured or left in the dark.
And the example review captured this.
Perfectly. Jose was very professional and explained all options, allowing us to make a good decision. It highlights professionalism, explanation, and empowering the customer.
And other comments reinforce this, explaining the process, pointing out related issues like a dirty unit.
Yes, comments like, explained everything he was doing and made sure I understood, or he let us know that our unit is very dirty and is not running efficiently. Always thorough and explains what's going on. Informative and thorough. Even office staff, like someone named Shelby, got praise for explaining things clearly.
So it's a company-wide value, it seems. How does this translate to web content?
On the service page, explain the service process clearly, maybe a step-by-step guide. And definitely include a robust FAQ section addressing common questions. Pricing structures, repair versus replacement trade-offs, what a typical service call involves.
And maybe a dedicated page or post, like the Faster, suggested what should I expect during my HVAC service call?
Exactly. Proactively answer those questions, demystify the process, build trust before the truck even rolls up.
Makes sense. Moving to bucket 5, customer-focused care and extra effort. This sounds like where those wow moments happen.
It really is. This is about going beyond the standard repair. It's the technician showing genuine care, noticing something extra, taking an additional step that makes the customer feel truly valued.
What was the example review for this one?
Extremely professional, friendly, went above and beyond, and even fixed things that I didn't realize needed fixed. Yeah. That directly hits the above and beyond theme.
And the sources had those really specific, compelling anecdotes.
Oh yeah, the one about the technician proactively checking for an unnoticed carbon monoxide pipe issue that's huge. That's a safety issue, potentially life-saving.
Incredible.
And there was Dustin, working cheerfully in extreme heat, and then calling the customer after the service just to follow up and make sure the system was still running okay. Another mention taking extra care of the adjustments, little things that make a big difference.
Those stories are powerful. How do you capture that on the website?
The suggestion is to use testimonials that specifically highlight these instances. Don't just say great service, showcase the stories of extraordinary care, the times technicians exceeded expectations. Let the specifics shine.
And the blog idea.
A post like, 5 times Hartzell's technicians went above and beyond for our customers. Use those anonymized anecdotes, the CO pipe check, the follow-up call, fixing the unexpected issue. It makes a promise of great care tangible and believable.
It really shows the company culture in action. Okay, bucket 6. Dependable and reliable outcomes. The fix has to work, right?
Fundamentally, yes.
Yeah.
Customers need assurance that the repair will last, the new system will perform well, and they can rely on Hartzell's long-term.
And the example review reflecting this.
Arrived promptly. Replaced faulty equipment under warranty. Excellent work. I will gladly continue to use your service. This hits reliability, quality, warranty handling, and the resulting loyalty.
What other evidence pointed to reliability? Things working well after the fix.
Lots of it. Phrases like AC back up and running in no time. System is back to working 100%. New circuit board working great. A new system worked better than expected. And that point about fixing units other companies gave up on really underscores their capability and reliability.
And the repeat business comments seem crucial here too.
Absolutely. All those comments like, we'll use them again, continue to use your service, found our people, will be using them on the regular, used for many years. That's the ultimate proof of dependable outcomes. People don't stick with unreliable service.
So website-wise, how do you convey this dependability?
Clearly highlight warranties and any service guarantees on the service page. And again, use testimonials, but this time focus on ones that talk about long-term satisfaction, reliability over time, and the trust that leads to that repeat business.
And the blog post suggestion.
The Hartzell's guarantee, why our customers keep coming back. Frame it around trust, dependability, and building that long-term relationship.
Shifting from just a repair to a reliable partnership. Got it. Last bucket, number 7, pricing and value. Always a tricky one. What did the feedback indicate here?
It's interesting. There's definitely price sensitivity, as you'd expect. One review explicitly mentioned a price seeming steep. However, the overall sentiment suggests that customers generally perceive good value for the price paid, often linking it to the quality, speed, and expertise received. Transparency seems key too.
Can you share that specific review about the price?
Sure. It was diagnosis and replacement of the capacitor was $495. Seems a little steep, but thinking that will cure the problem. And importantly, that was a 4-star review, not a negative one. It shows that even with the price question, the overall positive experience balanced it out.
That's a really telling nuance. What other comments touched on pricing or value?
There were positive comments like honest and upfront with pricing, price was good, priced reasonably, and trust that the technician is always fair and honest with recommendations and prices. One review even mentioned being able to pay in installments, which adds a layer of value through flexibility.
So value isn't just the sticker price, it's the whole package. Fairness, honesty, quality, flexibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for the website, the advice is be transparent about pricing structures where possible, but crucially, Actively connect the price to the value delivered. Remind people what they're getting: the expertise, fast to figure out the problem, the speed within 3 hours, the reliability made sure was right, the extra care. Spell out the value proposition.
And maybe address cost concerns proactively.
Yes, with content like a blog or FAQ titled Understanding HVAC Repair Costs. Transparency and trust with hard sells. Explain the factors involved, emphasize the value, and reinforce that trust element.
Addressing the elephant in the room, basically.
Precisely. Acknowledge cost as a factor, but anchor it firmly to the high quality of service documented in the reviews.
Okay, we've covered the 7 positive themes in detail. Now, digging into these sources, it's important to present the full picture they contain. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive, right?
Vastly so, yes. The positive comments significantly outweigh the negative in the provided materials.
But the sources did include some criticisms, didn't they? For completeness, we should probably mention those.
That's right. To be thorough in representing the source data, we should note there were a few negative points raised. These weren't the dominant themes, but they were present in the review set provided.
What kinds of issues came up?
There was one review mentioning perceived unprofessional behavior by a technician. Another described issues after a service that they felt weren't covered by warranty as expected. There was an instance of a technician arriving late without prior notice.
Okay.
Also, one customer felt they were told a part was needed when a different company later found a simpler fix. And there was one comment mentioning perceived rudeness from office staff during an interaction.
Right. And just to reiterate, we're mentioning these because they were part of the feedback provided for analysis. It's about neutrally reporting the full range of comments in the source material.
Exactly. It's not about validating these specific complaints, but acknowledging they were part of the complete data set we're discussing.
Yeah.
A full analysis considers all inputs.
Understood. So, pulling all this together, how does this deep dive, this process of sorting feedback into themes and extracting specific language, really give heart cells a better roadmap for their website compared to just, standard marketing approaches?
Well, it fundamentally shifts the perspective. Instead of the business guessing or projecting what they think is important, it puts the customer's actual voice and priorities front and center.
Using their words, focusing on what they spontaneously praise?
Precisely. Highlighting the speed, the specific examples of extra care, the technician professionalism. These aren't generic claims anymore. They're validated by real customer experiences. That authenticity builds trust in a way standard marketing copy often can't.
It connects because it directly addresses the things potential customers are already hoping for or worried about, using language that feels familiar and credible.
You got it. It provides a clear, customer-validated blueprint. Aligning the website messaging with these authentic voices makes it far more likely to resonate, build credibility, and ultimately convert visitors into customers.
It really underscores the value of listening to what your customers are telling you. The answers are often right there.
They really are. The feedback is the guide. You just need to decode it and apply it.
Absolutely. And that makes me think beyond the website, which is crucial. How else could a business weave these specific, authentic customer stories and phrases into their overall communication?
That's a great question.
Referencing a technician by name when scheduling, maybe mentioning a common above and beyond story during a phone call, incorporating those fast to figure out the problem ideas into technician training. How can that authentic voice permeate everything to deepen trust even more?
It's about embedding that customer-validated reality across the entire journey, isn't it? Making it consistently felt.
Something definitely worth pondering. Well, that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for unpacking that with me.
My pleasure. It's fascinating stuff.